From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, August the 2nd, 2018. 7 armed terrorists believed to be members of the Islamic State were identified and killed by the IDF overnight last night after the group crossed the 1974 ceasefire line into Israeli territory. The gunmen were about 650 feet past what is referred to as the Alpha Line, though they did not reach the technical fence bordering the Israeli Golan Heights. Israeli jets struck the group, and IDF soldiers later retrieved 5 assault rifles and a number of explosives from the scene. IDF spokesman Jonathan Conricus said that there had been no threat to Israeli communities that border the north, but he did not say whether the terrorists were intending to attack Israeli military targets. The IDF said it holds the Syrian regime responsible for everything that takes place within Syria and all violent acts or threats aimed at Israel from Syria. The IDF stands, it said, by the 1974 Separation of Forces Agreement, which ended the Yom Kippur War and is still in effect today. There are more reports of efforts to reach an agreement between Israel and terror group Hamas regarding the situation with Gaza. The Associated Press cited Hamas officials today confirming that Egypt is trying to negotiate a ceasefire agreement that would see an end to violence, see the rebuilding of Gaza, and eventually a prisoner swap. Likely they're referring to the remains of the 2 IDF soldiers being held by the terror group in Gaza, as well as 2 Israeli civilians being held. As we reported to you, United Nations envoy to the Middle East, Nikolai Mladenov, met several days ago with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, with Hamas leaders in Gaza, and with officials in Cairo earlier this week. The AP said Netanyahu was planning a cabinet meeting this Sunday to address the talks held with Mladenov and the supposed Egyptian brokered deal. And Netanyahu has also reportedly put off a planned trip to Colombia in light of Gaza concerns. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said yesterday he had ordered the Kerem Shalom border crossing once again closed to the transfer of fuel and natural gas to Gaza in response to arson balloons and kites being launched over the Gaza fence into southern Israel, sparking blazes every day, 13 today alone. Food, medicine, and humanitarian aid are still being allowed through the crossing. Well, the Druze community in Israel said they have not yet accepted a proposal from Prime Minister Netanyahu regarding their outcry over the controversial nation-state law, and that they would go ahead with a planned protest of the law this weekend at Rabin Square in Tel Aviv. As we reported to you, a team appointed by Netanyahu presented a draft yesterday to Druze leaders of legislation reaffirming their status in Israel and benefits for all minorities who serve in the IDF. Druze representatives thanked the Prime Minister for his efforts, saying there was a window of opportunity for a historic precedent, but that they had decided to continue talks with the staff of the Prime Minister's office based on the principles of the draft proposed in order to come to an agreement accepted by both sides. Meanwhile, the Jewish Federations of North America posted a statement on Facebook today that the nation-state law was effectively a step back for all minorities and that they stand shoulder to shoulder with the Druze community and urge Israeli legislators to work with the community as soon as possible to address their very real concerns. Jerusalem's largest ever Pride Parade took place today in the capital. Between 20 and 30,000 people are estimated to have participated in the annual march, which advocates for LGBT rights and equality. The marchers were also protesting a recently passed surrogacy law in the Knesset that excludes gay fathers. Security was very high, with some 2,500 police keeping order and protecting against anti-gay rights activists. The U.S. Senate passed a $716.3 billion defense bill yesterday that includes funding for Israel. The John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act passed in a vote of 87-10. Last week, it passed in the House and now awaits the signature of President Donald Trump. Funding in the bill is designated for Israel's defense needs against terror groups Hamas and Hezbollah. Pro-Israel lobby AIPAC praised the passage, writing these critical provisions will help protect Israel against mounting security threats. Adding the bipartisan measure authorizes $500 million for U.S.-Israel missile defense cooperation and up to $50 million for U.S.-Israel counter-tunnel cooperation, which refers to technology used to identify terror tunnels. Israeli and Polish officials gathered at the site of Treblinka to remember the revolt that took place there 75 years ago today. Israeli Ambassador Anna Azari joined Polish officials and relatives of former prisoners at the Nazi death camp, where some 900,000 Jews, mostly from Poland, were killed between 1941 and 1944. The revolt occurred on August the 2nd of 1943, where about 300 prisoners escaped, many of whom were caught. About 100 survived. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, August the 2nd at 7 o'clock, it's Talmud study. At 8 o'clock, Francis Bach of the Americana Anti-Slavery Group discusses his years in Muslim captivity with Charles Jacobs. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with parenting educator Meg Akabas on L'chaim, and at 10, New York Times columnist Clyde Haberman and his daughter, New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman, talk about their careers covering politics and Israel with Jewish Week editor Gary Rosenblatt. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's the Debka File. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, August the 2nd, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.